Like I wanted something that was in one place. I had to constantly find where each resource is. So I thought rather than doing that, if we could have something of our own, that's exactly how I started. So for me also, it wasn't like I woke up and I knew that clinical is not for me or non-clinical is for me, but I ensured that I gave my best in both. So even if it was internship and I was balancing an entire company, so I already had registered this company in 2022 while I was an intern.
Hi guys, welcome to LDFS podcast. Today we are going back to our college days. Imagine that one subject for which you have spent sleepless nights. For me, it was pharmacology. I still remember the sleepless night reading the Tripathi just before the Viva and everything, trying to remember each and every detail of it. Imagine if somebody says there's an easier way to do it. There's a mind map which can help you remember all those details. Interesting, right? So I came across this company which is known as Medi Study Go while I was browsing my LinkedIn. And I found it very interesting. So I thought, okay, let's know about it more. I became a little curious. And that's when I found that, okay, they have created these mind maps for various different subjects and all. So I thought my viewers should benefit from it. And that is why I thought of inviting the founder itself of Medi Study Go, Dr. Palak Bhandari, to our podcast so that she will give a better understanding of what it is actually and how it can help the students. I hope it helps you. Welcome to LDFS podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, the CEO and the founder of Medi Study Go, Dr. Palak Bhandari. Hi, Dr. Palak. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm really good. How about you?
Good, great. So, how was your day?
It just started.
Just started.
But yes, this entire week has been one of my favorites because finally, after so long, I've been part of a lot of events with founders, meeting people in the same field, and that's really been very good.
So that means a super hectic and super exciting week.
Very excited, absolutely.
Awesome.
How about you?
Great. It was a good week. The last week was all Navaratri celebrations and all those things. I was busy with those things and editing and all those things. The videos were there, a lot of. So we were editing those videos and all. That was the thing. So it's a good week. So, Doctor, can you give us a brief about what Medi Study and Go is?
Sure. Basically, MediStudyGo is an edtech platform. Because I have a dental background, I started with dentistry as the core subject. So when I was a student, I realized that I'm not paying attention in classes, and what I needed is something quick, whether it was just short videos on YouTube or whether it was just my friend teaching me. I realized that that's all I really need to really understand the concept, and everything else happens on the patient, and the patient is giving me the most amount of learning. So I felt like that is something that was missing in dentistry because it was all over the place. So we decided that we would work on a platform wherein all of the dental would be there and the students could learn faster. They could retain better. I think that's one of the major problems that I faced. That how much ever I studied the entire year, I was not able to recall it when I needed it, mostly in the exam. So that's exactly what MediStudyGo does, helps in getting down time as well as ensuring that the retention is better so that we could recall during an exam.
Awesome. So in short, I would say that it makes a complex topics into a simple topics so that we can understand it and retain it better. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
Yes. No. Absolutely correct.
Okay. And what actually inspired you to go for this?
So I've always been a very passionate person in terms of teaching. I didn't want to teach conventionally. So, even when I joined dentistry, I knew that somewhere I will have a component of education in my career. not to an extent like I have today, but I definitely knew that that's something that's there in me, wherein if there is a topic, I could really break it down in a very simple manner for my friends or for anyone who asks me about the topic. And I had that knack of having the concepts right. I never really cared about how well I scored, but I always cared about if I was able to treat a patient. So what inspired me was just the fact that there was nothing that was good. Like I wanted something that was in one place. I had to constantly find where each resource is. So I thought rather than doing that, if we could have something of our own, that's exactly how I started. So I started as a YouTube channel. Um, so a YouTube channel during COVID, wherein I learned illustrations myself. I learned editing myself, and I bought like a little laptop wherein I could try to learn new software. So I might have learned Photoshop. I might have learned Premiere Pro just because of that Kida, I would say, which was the let's make a video. But yeah, eventually that became bigger and bigger because a lot of support came in from whether it was my juniors, whether it was my own batchmates. Because I was not good at illustration, I remember very clearly how my batchmates actually painted some lesions on a piece of paper just so that we could put it on the video. So
Wow.
that's the amount of support that I've received.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. So, you simultaneously started with the YouTube channel when you were in college?
Yes, yes, yes. So that was when I was in third year of college. We had shut down in the sense COVID had happened and we were all sitting at home. I already knew I wanted to do it. So even before COVID started, I had my first video ready, which I was not ready to publish because I was quite scared. Like, what will other people think about me? Why am I doing this? Stuff like that. But then because COVID happened, and I went back home. So I studied in Manipal, so I went back home, and my parents were like, "You have it, just publish it. It's okay. No one is going to watch it. That's also okay. But start somewhere." So I think that push really came from coming back home.
Awesome. Great, great. So, so you have recorded the video, you have put it, and then what happened?
Uh, so then it was the first video. I remember very clearly it was oral epithelium, which we had put a lot of effort into. Trust me, I had put more than 5 to 6 months on one single video. So there was like a comic strip there. There was like a very clear animation. There were histopathology slides which were recorded under the microscope. Clinical features were actually recorded from a patient. So I had collected all of that to make like a 10-minute video.
Okay.
So in my head, I'm thinking, wait, if I'm going to take 6 months to make one video, I'm going to take my entire lifetime to make BDS. So how is this going to work out? So, but I was consistent in the sense that I would have uploaded about 15, 20 videos sooner or later, at least in COVID. And then eventually I applied for a few competitions. So we had like these innovation competitions where I said, okay, I want to do something in dental education. But it just went on and on. Like my ideas never changed. Everything revolved around the center, which is education. So I might have spoken about AI, VR in education. I might have spoken about um, just clinical dentistry in the form of videos, but it was all around one pillar, which was education for me. And then finally, eventually, after like so many competitions, I think eventually my dean asked me that could you give me 10 videos for her book. That was a book on periodontology. So I gathered my friends and I'm like, let's do it. At least we'll get a certificate and that would be really helpful. That was my only motivation. We did amazing 10 videos. It got published with Elsevier. We got our name in the contributions. It was like the highest of highs for us because we didn't care about anything else.
That's a big
And
thing.
then, yeah, but the thing is, in the process, the amount of things that I learned was immense. And I realized that I genuinely enjoy doing this. Like, I did not have excuses. When it was going to college, I would have 10 excuses. But when it was delivering a video, I was like, no, this is something I have to do. So I think I realized that about myself, that this is something I genuinely enjoy doing. I genuinely enjoy setting up processes, being creative, putting it the way this generation wants. I went to my dean later. I told her I want to pursue this. Is there a way I can do it? And she told me, okay, there is an incubation there. I think you should go and speak about it. So that took like 6-8 months where I'm trying to speak to people whether is this something I should pursue? How will I get the money? All of that. So eventually I got. So it took me like 4 months to get incubated at a Manipal incubator. For all the people who don't know, usually we have engineers who products design or they start their companies through an incubation. It's basically like your I would say it's just like your mother, you don't know anything, but it's like kind of protecting you because the world is quite cruel. So they would protect you, they would tell you what's next, they would help you with the product, they would help you with what business is, they would guide you, mentor you. In fact, I got funding through them. So all that layer of protection comes from something called as a bio incubator, which usually every college will have.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Mostly an engineering college. So I was probably the first dentist from my college who went there and said, I want to do something. And that itself was like surprising for them, but they really supported. So I was part of an entrepreneurship program where I realized what it means to be an entrepreneur because it's a very fancy name, but you don't know what it means to be an entrepreneur. So they encouraged me to apply for that program. I got into that program. In fact, I won that program, which was in collaboration with GTS. It was called GTS, that is Global Technology Solutions, with a university in Canada, UNB Canada. So all these little steps, it compounded wherein I had the guts. And that was a huge fund. Like it was 50 lakh rupees. And I was wondering why on earth will somebody give 50 lakh rupees for this, right? But it happened. And that was a game changer, I feel, to start Study Go and to what it is today.
Awesome. Because, see, a lot of us have ideas. Okay. A lot of people have ideas, but they don't know how to implement it. So you not only implemented it, you worked towards it and actually made it a reality. That's a good thing. And a lot of people like me and many more dentists, I'm sure they will be inspired to know this about how they can get the funding, how they can get this thing. So the story you told, the journey you told is something very inspiring. We never knew that, okay, there's something like the engineering college will have something like this. So we can go there and ask them about this help. So that's a good thing, which a lot of us are right now, going towards a non-clinical work, not the clinical work. The traditional mindset is a little bit changing right now in our generation or our, the previous generation. So now, what made you take that tough decision? Because it's a very tough decision when you switch from a clinical to non-clinical. Okay, because we for the 4 years you are trained to be the clinical or the clinician rather, right? So you work towards it, you do all the patients and everything, but to take that one step to, okay, let's leave the clinical part and step towards the non-clinical journey. How was it for you? Was it difficult? And like, what will you give advice for the young adults or young, graduates who are actually in this process?
So I really believe that dentistry has a lot of scope, whether it's clinical or not clinical, but it's all about knowing yourself. So for me also, it wasn't like I woke up and I knew that clinical is not for me or non-clinical is for me, but I ensured that I gave my best in both. So even if it was internship and I was balancing an entire company, so I already had registered this company in 2022 while I was an intern. So I had about 50 to 60 juniors working for me. However, when I was in clinic, I was ensuring that I'm doing my clinical work well. Like I was very enthusiastic about ensuring that I am taking care of my patients or I'm learning as much as I can as an intern. So it's just that after a year, when I had to choose, it was definitely about the kind of impact that I can create. So if I'm in a clinic, I can do X amount of things. But now that I have funding and I can build a team and I can build a company, what kind of impact can I create if I do non-clinical? So it was initially it was yes about knowing myself, but later it went down to choosing what would really make me happy at the end of the day. So, what will I really enjoy doing a few patients in a day versus will I enjoy um, working with a huge team and creating something of my own, which can be helpful for generations. But at the same time, I feel like that is not an option for most, because they get out, they try the clinical segment, they realize that maybe this is not for me, but it's too late, right? Like, for me, it was a choice that I could make right after BDS. I'm really lucky for that. But that's not the case that most people have a choice for, especially because they have spent a lot of years in clinical, and now they're confused about the thousand non-clinical roles that are there.
Yeah, so true.
And so then it becomes a lot about timing, right? Because you can't constantly say that I tried this role and I didn't like it. Then I tried another role, I didn't like it. I tried the third role, I didn't like it. So that's when a lot of confusion happens. So I would say if somebody has to switch, it's not a direct switch. You should do internships. You should really test whether this is something you really enjoy doing. Or is it just for the money? If it is just for the money, then neither of these jobs are going to be very satisfying, because your purpose is just limited. So I think it's about knowing yourself, knowing your purpose, and trying it out. Because you may think it's a good field because the grass is always greener on the other side, but it may not be. Like today, also, if you tell me that I want to go to a clinic and I really want to just do an extraction just for my adrenaline, I would do it because I really enjoyed it. It's just that I had to make a choice at a crucial juncture.
Great, great, great. That's true. That's true. And there is some part of us still, want to do the other things. Like you said, it's the grass is greener on the other side. When we are on the clinical side, we feel the non-clinical is exciting. जब हम non-clinical करते हैं तो लगता है कि okay, the clinical is exciting. We have to go back to the clinical.
Right.
It's always a confusion.
It's the FOMO.
Yeah, it's
just the fear of missing out. And I feel like it's like looking at other people. So that's why I say, during COVID, I had a very low phase where I was constantly on Instagram for like 10 hours, 12 hours of my day. That was my screen time. And I felt like, the more I'm watching other people, the more it's affecting me. So one day I just took a very solid decision that I'm going to delete this shit and I'm never going to be here on Instagram because it's a bad place to be in. And my mind is constantly thinking about what other people are doing rather than what I am doing. But obviously it was a very long phase of like self-improvement and realizing that it's all about our journey and not about everybody's journey. But I feel like that cut off where there is no fear of missing out. You don't know what the other person is doing. You're constantly, okay, you may know what a successful person is doing, say on YouTube or through podcasts or through whatever, but you're not knowing your direct people who you actually connect with. It really helped me figure out what I want to do without third party opinions. And I feel like that may be something that people need when they are shifting from clinical to non-clinical, because both the sides are glamorized in their own ways. Whether we speak about work-life balance or we'll speak about how satisfying it is to treat a patient, but that's giving a bias, right? Like as soon as we know that somebody else has this opinion, I have a bias in my head. But as soon as I know it for myself, when I have tried it, so instead of scrolling on Instagram for 2 to 3 hours, I would say if somebody has to switch, they should try different things. Try marketing, try writing blogs. Like these are very simple things that you can do on a freelance basis rather than scrolling on Instagram or, really having that FOMO. So I feel like everything is about cutting off from the people who are giving you that FOMO, and at the same time working on yourself so that you know more about what you really want rather than what others want you to do.
True, true, true. So true. And I'm very fascinated by the name of your company, Medi Study and Go. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, I was on a scooty ride and I was like, I want to start a YouTube channel. This is pre-COVID, when I was learning video editing and everything. And I was like, I want to start a YouTube channel. But so we had a lot of names. We wanted to keep it a little generic. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, Study Buddy. Study Buddy was the first name. We actually named the YouTube channel as Study Buddy. In fact, I have created geography videos and like mathematics videos, physics videos, because I didn't want to be seen in the dental field. Imagine that's the kind of mental state I was in.
Mm.
And then I was like, no, I mean, I want to be seen in dentistry because I do understand this field and I can give as much as I know. But being a third year student, I didn't have that confidence. But yes, after that, we changed the name of that same channel, Study Buddy. We made it Medi Study Go because I was like, okay, there needs to be a niche. But at the same time, I didn't want to restrict it to just dentistry because from the little business that I understood, I realized that the name is a very important thing. So tomorrow, if I want to expand, it will be difficult if I name something as just something related to dentistry because now there is no scope of expansion. So, which is why I started with Medi Study Go. And I think I've reached that phase where we are completing dentistry and we would go to the other segments of medical science. So, I think the reason I kept the name as Medi Study Go is finally coming, you know, out and solving the real purpose.
Oh, great. So now you're proceeding from dentistry to the medical field.
Yes, yes. So dentistry, I'm hoping that by December or Jan, we will have a lot of content. So as one team continues to do dentistry, we will be building on something in medical science. So definitely looking forward.
Awesome, awesome. And like in the content creation, whatever content you have created, what is it exactly? It's it's basically for the students or the one who are doing the internship and preparing for the NEET. The content is focused for whom?
So we have content in three formats. It could be animated videos. That's how we started. So we have animated videos for anatomy. We've covered the entire of anatomy and oral medicine and radiology. So these are two core areas where we have animated videos. Then we have something called as mind maps. So one thing I realized when I was in college is that I was the only one using a tool which is called as mind maps. And that was really weird because I come from a Gurukul setup. So I've only studied radially. Okay, I've never studied linearly. I'll show an example of what I mean by this. So this is like oral surgery mind maps.
Okay.
But so like so these are mind maps wherein um everything is radial. You go like clockwise, and there are branches, and there is very limited information. Like it's not super crowded, and it is very visual because there are a lot of images. So I realized that I was the only student who even knew how to read a mind map, and that was like, dude, why? Why do you want to study 10 pages when all you need is crisp, concise information that you can really remember? Trust me, like oral surgery is a 5,000 page book. How can an undergraduate how can an undergraduate be expected to remember so much? So I am concising everything from different places, putting it into a mind map, and that's all I'm able to remember in an exam because obviously, I mean, the human brain at that point was only able to remember that. So I started when I started Medi Study Go, it was a lot about mind mapping. Eventually, it got a lot of traction because a lot of other students said that this is great. Like, I want to study from this. It's so attractive to look at. So, because we got that kind of traction, we've created mind maps for almost all subjects. In fact, by December or Jan, we'll have all these little books that will be ready. And the best way of studying today is digitally. So, most of it will be available through our app, which is again available both on Android and iOS. So, it's the second thing, as I said, is mind map. And third thing is notes. So mind maps cannot be made for everything, especially for conceptual topics. That's when we switch to very visual tools like linear notes. And those are the books that we've created in the form of linear notes.
Okay. So,
and where is it focused? Yeah. So I really believe, it's a personal thing where I really believe that it should not be focused on NEET because NEET is a very scary word for all of us. We think that it's all about solving multiple choice questions, sitting 18 hours a day, studying, and it's given a very negative idea in my brain. I've never given NEET personally, but that's the idea that everybody has in their mind. But I personally feel that it should be a parallel process. Like learning should be a constant process, which means that when you are in first year, you should think about NEET from first year. And how do you think about it? No teacher is going to tell you that in college, right? They will not tell you this is going to come in NEET. That's all the days we had when we were in 11th and 12th. So what we have done is that on every mind map itself, if there is something that's a competency, like it's an important competency for the NEET exam, we've put like a small pin.
I think we can't see it.
Okay, can you see there's a red pin, please?
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a pin, and it just tells me that this is an important area that has been asked in a previous year exam.
Okay. Nice.
So
Okay.
what happens is that while you are studying, it should not be a different process. Like today I'm studying for my university exam, and tomorrow I'm going to study the same topic for my NEET exam. I don't think that's like, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think that it needs to be two separate processes, because if you're studying a certain topic, obviously something related to the topic is an important competency in the exam. So we have compiled that. We have also put multiple choice questions. So after every mind map, the student gets to solve the previous year question. So it might take him extra 2 or 3 minutes, but he's preparing not just for an exam, which is their university exam, but also at the same time knowing that, listen, this is important tomorrow if I plan to give my NEET exam.
Okay.
But we are definitely not a NEET coaching. We really do not believe that you should go down that road, sit for 18 hours a day, study each subject in 5 days, 6 days. I am not a believer of that concept. So I don't want to put it out at MediStudy.
Okay, great. So I'll give a just okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, Doc. So your material in the MediStudy Go is mainly, one is the book which has the mind maps and everything, and which has the points for the NEET, and it has little MCQs and all. And second is the videos, the animated videos which you have created for anatomy and oral surgery and all.
Yes, anatomy and oral medicine radiology.
Oral medicine radiology. Okay. And so if as a student, okay, if I want to take up something, like I want to only buy the mind maps and not the other ones. And acha, first thing is, mind map, is it offline or online? Like, is it a book, or like, is it in the online format?
It's both. The online format is obviously slightly cheaper, but if somebody purchases a book, they will get access to the online resources also.
Acha, okay. So book comes with the online one as well, but online doesn't come with the book. You can choose whatever you want. Okay. And the videos, is there a different cost structure for the video, or like, how is it? Or everything comes together as a package?
Yeah, everything comes together as a package in the subject that we have videos, that is anatomy and oral medicine radiology. So if a subject, like for example, if a subject like periodontics does not have videos, then that subject is priced at 1,000 rupees. But if a subject like anatomy or oral medicine radiology has videos, then you'll get the entire subject at 1,500 rupees. So that's how it's structured.
Okay, so if with videos it is 1,500. Without videos, but that has both book and the online format, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that is around 1,000 rupees. Okay, and like, what have you seen from the customers, that what do they like? Do they like the book more, or do they like the online format?
So that's been a confusion even for us, because we didn't plan to release these books, like eventually, like earlier our mind maps were very big. They were only possible to fit on a digital platform like our app. But so many of them said that it's so difficult to read from your laptop or from your iPad. It becomes training after a point, like, although a lot of people still believe in that. In fact, I really love to read from iPads and from digital resources, because I can annotate, I can add pages, all of these things. So a lot of students said no, we want it printed, which is why we had to even go down the road of printing so many books and formatting so many books. Like today, the most amount of time it takes is to design a hard copy, right? Because digitally, we don't have to spend a lot of time in designing. But because so many students told us that no, they want the printed versions, and now they tell us that it's so beautiful that we just want to look at it. It's okay if I don't even study it. So printed is definitely what students are liking more, especially the kind of response we've got after printing it has been immense. Digital, it'll pick up. So we are now looking to, have partnerships with digital platforms so that we can ensure that people have the digital uh, technology. A lot of students do not have iPads or they do not know how to use it correctly. So we are working on how we can ensure that students maximize the usage with digital technology.
Awesome, awesome. And I have seen on your website, I was just browsing through it. So I saw there are some free samples as well for the student to see how it feels like. Because before buying the online thing or anything, we would like to see the mind maps, right? How it goes and all. So that is available for all the subjects, or like how is it?
Yeah, so so there is a course itself which is called as free mind maps. So on the app, you can just go and select on that course. You'll get a lot of mind maps for every subject. Apart from that, individually also there are some preview only maps. So if you go to a certain subject and you see that there is a preview section where you will see a couple of mind maps which you can scroll and see if that's something you enjoy reading. Apart from that, all the videos. So we've created videos of other subjects also like Path, Perio. So a lot of videos are available freely on the app also. They're available freely on YouTube also.
Okay, okay, great, great, great. And what is your dream dog?
I really think that okay, dream. If I talk about like the bigger dream, I want to be a part of people loving what they are doing, especially people loving what they are studying. Because because I have come from a very um, old Gurukul system, I've never seen people who are crying about books or like exams. I've never given exams till I was in sixth standard. So the I have had a very positive relationship with education. I've had a very positive relationship with exams because I was not forced to do it at a very early age. So my bigger dream is to ensure that the coming generation enjoys what they are doing. And then if they enjoy their education, they will enjoy their profession. If they enjoy their profession, they're going to give time to their personal life. So it's just a starting point to have a good life. So I feel like I want to be a part of that change.
Awesome, awesome. So Gurukul, in the sense, how was your schooling and everything?
So it was very different. Usually, school starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was here in Mumbai only. My parents actually shifted me from a conventional school to a Gurukul, wherein we didn't call our teachers uh, like we didn't
Oh
call our
man.
teachers ma'ams or nothing. We used to call them Didi and Bhaiya, like literally, okay? And even like imagine the principal in the college is being called with her name and Didi. And that's how we've grown up. We didn't have tables and chairs. We used to sit down and study. We didn't have tiffins. We had food seva, wherein one parent would serve food for all the kids. We've done organic farming for a lot of time in school. Our school was till 6 p.m. So we were doing all the activities in school, whether it was music, tabla, skating, swimming.
Oh,
So
nice.
it was not school for us. It was just everything in one place.
That's
And
a
it
summer
was just a
camp for
very
us.
limited summer camp, exactly. So I never had that hate towards education, right? Because I'm thinking it's a very fun process. I feel that needs to start coming in because I've heard how people in Japan, even they don't have exams for the beginning. They are only taught about like discipline and like small etiquettes. But that's not something that's followed in India. Here, everybody is competing against each other, and then you're competing for your entire life. But why? Why are we competing, right? Why can't we just collaborate? But it starts from the very bottom. It does. You can't change that when you're 25 and 30. It starts when you are 5. So I want to be a part of that till the higher education so that is when we can create a generation of passionate people.
That's nice. That's nice. And how do you envision, your company evolving in the next 5 years?
Uh, I think I think it's first of all, I feel all my long term plans have failed. So when I started, I was like, in 1 year I'll be there, in 2 years I'll be there, 5 years I'll be there. But I think that's not how it works, because there's a lot to learn along the way, and it should not be time based, because if it is time based, then you are constantly thinking I failed because it was time based, right? Because I put a time to it. But I feel like now I've realized to let it be calm, to let it go the way it wants to let it, like, the more number of people I meet, the more my brain is expanding. So I don't want to put a timeline of what happens in 5 years. It may happen just in 2 years if I do not think about it. That's the piece that I've gotten with myself, because I've realized that the timeline is not mattering at all. If I do it in 5 years or 50 years, it's okay as long as it happens. So, but yes, I definitely have short term goals that um, include doing something good in dentistry, at least being the number one platform that students choose for dentistry. In fact, even what teachers choose. So lately, I've also been speaking to a lot of teachers as to what they want to change rather than just what the student wants to change, because the teacher is able to look at the bigger picture. The student only knows, I want to finish this exam. So, that's my short term goal. But yes, eventually, I feel like we'll make our path. I don't know where the path is leading.
Great, great. And how did teachers, found your product? Did you have a discussion with them?
So I've lately gone to a lot of colleges,
Okay.
and we show the mind maps to them, we show the videos to them, and we say this is what we've been doing. And first of all, there's a lot of credibility that comes in because it is funded by the government. I think that's a very differentiating factor when we go to a teacher, that okay, there might be something which is by the government funded, right? They are not mad to just fund something. So I think that's the first thing that they agree on. Then they listen to us. And when we show the product, because we put a lot of effort in it and it's seen, it's really visible. Um, they do say that yes, it's a great revision tool, but please don't tell the students that this is a guide, and don't tell them that this is all they have to study. So we modified the book according to that. We put the names of the standard textbooks, we put references, and we tell the student when we are even putting it on the website that see, this is not a guide that okay, just study this much and go for an exam. No, open the other books, because tomorrow you will need to know how to even read a textbook. You can't just say I studied for mind maps and I'm going to ace the exam. Yes, they'll be able to ace the exam, but will they be able to really apply everything? I'm not sure, because you have to read in a normal way to be able to understand the topic.
So, Doctor, true what you said, that the book is not a guide. It is just to help us remember the things in a very crisp manner. I remember when, like, we had the pharmacology. I am very afraid of pharmacology. I mean, I think still now. So, we used to create the mnemonics. We used to find some book. There was one handbook. I don't remember the name. There was a small handbook like this size, which had all the mnemonics. So I remember before the Viva, we were going through that. And I think this is a good way, like mind maps and all. It will help us remember all the indications about the drugs and a lot more things, right? Anatomy has a lot more things, which we need to remember in a very crisp format. So I think this will help a lot of students. I hope we had in our time, but unfortunately it wasn't there. But
Yes. So we have a lot of comical strips, and like for example, if you're learning general medicine and you have a lot of clinical features. Now, as a student, you can't remember it just by reading it, or even if I put it on a mind map, you won't remember it. So what we've done is we've like created like a character who has all those features, right? And now, if you look at the character, you will remember it. Similarly, oral pathology, it will speak about these random words, which is like you're just by hearting it. But when it comes to recalling it, you've lost it. So we've tried to put fun characters over there. Like if I'm talking about some appearance, I'm going to put that particular picture over there. So it becomes a lot of visual memory. So that's how our teachers taught us, and that's how we're translating it into our study material.
oh, that's good. That's nice. There's a fun way of learning it, actually.
Fun way of learning. Yeah.
Great, great. And Doctor, how do you create this content? Like, I just want to know the just Upa say the process how it goes. converting a subject into a mind map?
So basically the entire process revolves around somebody called as a subject matter expert, who is basically a BDS, MDS followed by at least a few years of teaching experience. It can range from 5 years to 25 years. So like recently, all the subject matter experts that have joined us are really experienced because they really like the purpose of what we're doing.
Nice.
So they could be HODs of colleges, professors of colleges, and they know what a student needs. So we first convey what we are imagining in the form of a mind map or visuals or whatever it is, comic strips, depending on the subject. Then we explain that to the subject matter expert. They give us the content. Then we have our team of creative people, which involves illustrators, designers, content creators. Again, all of these people are BDS graduates who we have upskilled to learn all of these things. So they've been here for a very long time, more than a year now, who have constantly done it so many times with us that now they are pro at it. They are probably even better than graphic designers that we can hire from outside.
Awesome.
So that's how we've upskilled everybody. And now, after the content is there, we design it in the form of a book. We give illustrations. So we explain the illustrator what we are imagining, like the subject matter expert. He has a certain imagination of how he wants the diagram to be, or a reference image from an existing book. So we recreate the entire thing in our way. Then we add like a little comical strip or something that can make it fun, whether it's a mnemonic or anything. And then we try to fit it in the form of a book. Trust me, that's the hardest thing, to put it in the form of an A4 sheet. It's really hard.
Oh, nice, nice. So I would say that that means that 90% of your team is dentist.
Yeah, 90% will be dentists. Yes, we will have a few finance guys, business people who are from the other segment, but it's a core dental team, which we are very proud.
Wow, that's awesome. And how many employees do you have?
So as we speak today, we have about 52 employees. But yeah, it's growing at this rate mainly because we have a goal to complete dentistry soon. So we are really pushing ourselves to ensure that we meet what we want to do. But yeah, when I started, it was a small lean team of 8 to 10 of us.
That's a good growth from 10 to 52. Nice, nice. And how do you approach team collaboration? Because in a startup environment, the roles usually overlap, right? And there's no correct definition that, okay, you are the content team, you will do only the content. So how do you approach the team to collaborate, and how do you do that?
That's a great question. I think we struggle daily with it because in a startup, yes, there is no overlap. Like there is no, this is your role, like when you write your KRAs, you really have to think that, is this all I'm going to expect a person to do, or do I expect more than that? I think the core basis of everything in a startup relies on the kind of culture that you build, right? The person working with you wants to work with you. It should not be that they're just working for the sake of working. So I was very blessed to have such kind of people from the time I started, because whoever was the kind who was not ready to put in for the purpose eventually just went out, because somebody else was trying to be better and better and better till that person like fades out. So now the kind of team that we have are the people who have stayed for this long, which means they know that this is how a startup works. Like we don't have to explain or build anything or like change their mindset, because those are the only people who eventually end up staying. Other people will have their own reasons to move out, and that's very good for a startup, mainly because then you only have the people who really want to be here, right? They don't have 10 excuses to not do something. So there are a lot of overlapping roles. So today, our chief operating officer, who's basically working from Dubai, she's doing a lot more than what she's expected to do. Similarly, we have our head of content. she has a lot of experience in edtech, so she already understands that this is what is expected, and nothing is going to be written on paper. Like on paper, it's something else. What we are doing is something exactly opposite. So they have taught me how it works, and because they have had the experience to work in their own fields, I've realized what is needed to run an edtech company. So I was never a part of an edtech company, or I've never really worked for an edtech company, but I know the kind of failures that can happen because they have told me about it. So that's how it started. Like, that's how our core team is very passionate, and they wouldn't say this is not my role or this is not something I would do, stuff like that. So obviously it will trickle down, right? Because now everybody is working, doing everything. So now people at the creative team, or people who have just entered, can already see that everybody is doing everything. So there is no question of why am I asked to do something which is not part of my role.
Great, great, great. And to have that core team is very like you're blessed to have that core team, because then your vision is their vision and they work wholeheartedly. So that's a something which is very good to have, rather than having somebody on the team who is not so dedicated to the vision of the whole company. So that's nice.
I'm truly blessed.
Yeah. And so, what do you exactly see when you're hiring a dentist?
So basically, how we hire at Medi Study Go is that we have an HR team who we get a lot of applications, to be really honest, because whenever we open something, people don't even know what the role is or what the designation is, but they'll still apply. So I think our first we kind of figure out who is ready to work full time. That's like our first criteria, because over the years we've realized that part time doesn't work for us. Mainly because this is a very demanding role. Most of the roles that are here, 90% of the roles that are here are very demanding. So part-time doesn't work for us. We need people to say that this is all we want to be doing, or maybe they go to the clinic for 2 or 3 hours in the evening. That's something that's okay for us. So that's like our first deciding factor. After that, what we look at the person is obviously it should fit under the criteria of the key important things. But more than anything, what really matters to us is the openness to learn. Because as dentists, we don't know 90% of the things that this job demands. But we believe that everything is trainable if the person is learnable, if the person really wants to learn. So for that reason, the first thing that we look at is how open the person is to learn. Now, how do we judge that? We'll have to see whether that person has shown some areas which are not part of dental school and has opened up to learn that on their own. If they have, which means they have something in them that is driving them to learn something new. So we try to look at those factors, but even if that person does not have that factor, we have a 14-day training period where we try to see how that person responds to the kind of training we are providing.
Mm-hmm.
And if the response is good, we know that everybody is going to eventually learn on the job. So we give that openness to that person as long as that person is hardworking. So usually the first 2 months, right? Although we are saying that it's a 9 to 5, so actually speaking, the person is actually working like a 9 to 9, because the rest 4 hours he's trying to upskill, because we have to like meet deadline. But after that, once the learning process on the job is over, I think that when we are able to strike that work-life balance that our employees need. So yeah, we train people on the job, but all that matters is the attitude. Like how passionately they want to be doing this. It should not be a second option for them. Like, I wanted to leave clinical, so I'm coming here. No, I'm not going to take you.
There should be an eager to learn.
Yeah.
Great, great, great. And what significant challenge have you faced since the launching of your startup? And how did you overcome that?
Every day is a challenge. And every day is a new challenge. Okay. So eventually at this point, I have come to peace with the fact that that's how every entrepreneur's life is going to be. Challenge mainly was upskilling myself, because there were so many things that I had no idea about, whether it is like whether it's just handling money, handling a team, handling, you know, business side of things, marketing, sales. These are never things that we even thought about, and you would think that, okay, just hire somebody to do it. But that's not how a startup can work, because you don't have that much fund to just keep hiring a very expensive trained people. So, and you need to know what your vision is. So whenever it is a marketing campaign, I need to know what the goal is. Whenever it is a sales funnel, I need to know what it is. So for that, I have to first know enough to ask somebody what I expect of them. Right. So I think the biggest challenge for me has been that upskilling and that learning. And I feel now I'm understanding it way more better than I would a year ago. And that's only because of the kind of people that I'm meeting. So earlier I was constantly just meeting dentists who themselves had no idea of what this is. But now that I'm meeting real entrepreneurs and founders in different fields, I know that everybody is going through the same challenge, right? Like none of them, no engineering school or no architecture school is teaching them about business. So they are also in the same boat. So just because I'm a doctor doesn't mean that I cannot learn things that a business demands. So once that open mindset has actually started to come in, I've realized that, okay, everybody is going through this. Maybe this is my mini MBA. So now I've started calling Medi Study Go as my place, which is just my own mini MBA, because I like to experiment, fail, and then learn from my failure. I don't think any MBA school would allow me to do this much of experiment, right? So this is my mini MBA.
True, true, true. And it's a nice MBA to have also. Like it's a personal baby, right?
It's a
Every
very
startup.
expensive MBA to have.
That's true. That's true. But somewhere, a doctor, whenever somebody applies or joins, even a doctor or a dentist, the thing is, once after passing, even a clinic, that is itself a business. It's the era is gone when you just open your clinic and then it's done. It's not right now like that. The market is so competitive. You have to learn about the business part of it. You have to relearn a lot of things. You have to unlearn a lot of things. So I think every, like you said, architecture, let it be lawyers, anybody. So they also have their own challenges, and business has become a part of everything, all the fields in the world. So it's a good MBA to have.
So I actually realized, I always had this question when people told me that, um, I was surprised, to be really honest, when people said dentistry has no scope. And I really questioned it, in the sense that I really thought about why it's like that, why they're able to say something like this. And I realized that the only reason why they say that dentistry is underpaid is because they don't understand money, or they don't understand business. And I, in fact, recently had a talk about this to my own juniors in Manipal, wherein I spoke about how a dental clinic is in itself a startup, because you have to know simple things like performance marketing. You need to know your designing. You need to know what you want to speak to the customer. You need to know how to have a team, because you don't know all the nine specialties alone. You
Yeah,
need to know how to
this
network,
marketing,
because how
that's
are you?
finance, 100 things.
So, so I realized, and I spoke about this, that first of all, it's a need, but I believe that even if you incorporate it into the curriculum of dentistry, it's not like it's going to change anything. Because how much, if somebody tells me like, write an exam about business or like networking, I can only write what's given in my book. But until I experience it and I really know its value, I'm not going to accept it, or I'm not going to apply it.
It's
So
a
I
practical
really feel
knowledge.
that it needs to be hands-on. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
true, true.
it is dental clinic is a mini startup. It's your own startup.
Yeah, yeah. So true, so true. And like, what motivates you to, to be the founder in spite of having so many challenges?
It's very satisfying, in the sense that every time I'm able to, like, every time a student tells me that I had a good exam, or even if, so there was a time when, I remember that it was hard to get students to even try something like this. Versus today, when students come and say that this has really helped me, and Now I have started accepting and understanding the subject better. You can sleep well at night, irrespective of the challenges, because you know those challenges are there, but those challenges are going to give you a result very soon, you know, and that's very satisfying. Apart from that, yes, um, a lot of like challenges are helping me grow very quickly, right? Like my mindset constantly changing week on week or month on month is crazy. Like today, I can confidently go up and speak to various founders, or I can go and confidently speak on the stage. Those were things that I did not have a year ago, but I have it now. So I can only imagine what kind of growth this field will give me after say 10 years. So it's just about telling yourself that it's a good field because you're growing. It doesn't matter when and where, but eventually you will come at a place where you're learning something new every day.
Yeah, and everything will fall into place.
I don't think everything will fall in place. That's how it has happened, right? Like when I was in third year, I could not have imagined this happening. So maybe 5 years later, I cannot imagine what's happening now. So it's a process, and let it be as a process.
True, true, true. And Doctor, we have talked about a lot of things. Thank you so much. At the end, I just want to ask you one last question: is what are your tips for young graduates?
Lot of them, but I would prioritize ensuring that whatever you've committed to do, in the sense that if you have committed to dentistry, you give your whole soul and heart to do it in the best way possible. Because people may tell me that, hey, you're a doctor and then you did this, like, why? But I realized that it's given me that consistency. It's given me that, it's not just a degree. Yes, it's a degree. It definitely adds value, but it's given me a lot of confidence in itself because uh, I have treated patients. I have been able to uh, maybe a lot of things, right? Like pass exams. Passing those 80 exams is not a joke, but passing them well is definitely something that gives you confidence. It may not be of value on your degree, but it's definitely giving you that confidence that if I could go through that, what can I do in my life, right? Like even today, I'm like, if we could go through those 8 exams, which were ridiculous in terms of, sleepless nights or the amount of information we actually crammed in our head.
I still
It's
remember
just
the Tripathi, the book, the Karanja, and all those things. Like we used to study it like anything, and then I don't know how we remembered. God only knows.
exactly. So if they are pursuing dentistry, they should pursue it wholeheartedly. Never think that an MBBS counterpart is better than you. I think that's primary for somebody who's entering. I've seen my own friends have so much of FOMO about it that they've spent years in just having that FOMO. But trust me, at the end of the day, the grass is only greener on the other side. Today, when I look at it, I'm like, they are working 18 hours, 20 hours of their day, and now probably even they want to get out of it. But they can't do it because now they're stuck in the, whole ego of, like, I am such a big doctor. But what about their personal life, right? So, I really feel like not looking at other people or not looking at your medical engineering counterparts, as well as focusing on what you started to do, finish it well, and then parallelly experiment, like really figure out what you want to do. And there are a lot of opportunities. If you're a woman, there are women grants that are available. In fact, there is an EIR grant, which is about 3.5 lakh rupees if you want to pursue something with college, and that really pushes people to start. And once you get your starting point, you will figure it out, right? But that starting point is the most difficult thing. Like telling yourself that it's okay. It's okay if I fail. Start it out.
Very difficult.
And then figure it out. Yeah. So a lot of things are available. Find out about it. Talk to people. Like whenever I go to colleges, I really meet a lot of students, and they are very confused. Like from first year, they are thinking about NEET PG, and I'm like, why? You have 5 years, right? Like 5 years is a very long time. But because they are very stuck in that exam phase, they cannot think beyond that. So opening up your mindset, I think, is primary when it comes to figuring out what you really want to do as your career.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for such an inspiring, and your journey has been inspiring to a lot of dentists, I'm sure, and to our listeners as well. And students do check their, the website. They have a lot of stuffs which may be helpful for you. You can see the samples and then see. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Doctor.
We have our app both on Android and iOS. Please download it. We'll definitely put the links on the description box. And let's chat. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So let's chat there. And I've also recently started my personal Instagram page because they keep saying personal branding, share your story, stuff like that. So I'm planning to put out a lot more of the reality of entrepreneurship there, and see how that.
Great. I didn't know that. I'll definitely follow it. And we'll put all the links in the description below. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lakshmi. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Dr. Palak.